Hey everyone, Alpha Eagle here again. Welcome back to my channel. Pray you're all doing well, and may God bless you all. I'm continuing my coverage of the woke garbage known as X-Men 97. In episode 8, Cable warns the X-Men of Bastion's plan of Mutant Replacement Theory. And this show ups its game as far as turning its characters into villains. So not only did Rogue go on a murderous rampage, but this time all the X-Men go on a murderous rampage. For everyone who claims that I just want to be negative all the time, I'll tell you guys some things that I like about this episode. For one, I think the actor playing Bastion, Theo James, does a pretty good job. He stands out amongst the others as very unique. He comes off as very evil, yet very calm and collected. He makes a great villain, and I can't deny this.
Overload their bandwidth. Too much to compute. Because when your skin's not in the game, apathy's your answer.
Another thing is, I've been saying how useless and pathetic Sunspot has been for the last 7 episodes. And he's basically been Jubilee's pet this whole time. He finally gets his time to shine in this episode. Unfortunately, it only lasts for a brief second, and he is almost immediately grounded. I mean, he is a man after all, and we can't have men upstaging the women in this show. And that's about it for what's good of this episode, if you can call Sunspot eventually failing a good thing. As a quick side note, I don't remember Sunspot being able to fly in the comics. And by the way, absolutely hate it when they take a character who's had established powers for decades, and then suddenly the writer gives them new powers out of nowhere. I've already mentioned several times how much I hate that they OP'd Morph in this series, but in general, I hate it when they change a character's powers. For example, they showed Emma Frost using her diamond form for the first time in this show, and yes, I know she used it before in the comics and in other media, but it still doesn't change the fact that for decades she couldn't do this until the writers decided that she could out of nowhere, so they just pulled out new powers for her right out of their butts. I mean, how is this any different than the Silver Age Superman, where the writers just gave him new powers on the fly as the plot needed him to? So that is bad, lazy writing, and so is having White Queen turn into diamonds or Sunspot flying out of nowhere. Now, before I get into the X-Men's murderous rampage of civilians, I'll get into some lesser complaints. One continuity mistake that keeps showing up is this photo of the original X-Men. I haven't mentioned this before, but it keeps coming up and bothers me every time I see it. Now, the photo shows Professor X, Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Beast, Iceman, and Angel. And yes, I know this is the original team from the comics, but this is not the original team from 1992. In Cold Comfort, they show that Iceman was an original member, but from what I can remember, Angel didn't meet the team until the episode titled The Cure. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Complaint is all the key jangling they did in this episode. Now, some may say that they are Easter eggs, but to me, they're just key jangling. And what I mean by that is we saw the cameos from Omega Red, Silver Samurai, Baron Zemo, and Dr. Doom, and the big one, Spider-Man. And they serve no purpose other than to get people to point them out and say, hey, I know that character. At least with Captain America, it seemed that he was more part of the story. Now, speaking of cameos, when they showed Dr. Doom, they made a point to show that he claimed to be against war crimes. Now, for one thing, Dr. Doom has no problem with war crimes. And second, the show seems to be obsessed with showing evil villains like Magneto, White Queen, or Doom as sympathetic. The evil terrorist bigot Magneto, the torturing, brainwashing bigot White Queen, and the tyrannical dictator Dr. Doom are not good people. Stop trying to make them seem good, writers. The audience, or at least the ones with brains, are not buying it. Another key jangling moment is that they show Jubilee in a new black costume. Now, again, this has no purpose to the story, other than to have people say, hey, she had that costume in the comics. We're given an origin for Bastion, and he says this.
Mom, will I ever be normal? You are normal. You're my son.
This is yet another reference to homosexuality. Now, references to homosexuality are inappropriate for entertainment for children, like this X-Men show. Gays often question their normalcy, and by definition, gays are not normal. They are abnormal. Now, being abnormal is often has a negative connotation, and that's why gays think that they're being oppressed, because people accurately point out that they are abnormal. As simple as being left-handed is also abnormal. So gays need to stop thinking that they are being oppressed or singled out for being gay simply for being accurately called abnormal. And you should just accept it. There is nothing inherently wrong with being abnormal. Anyway, Bastion later says this about himself.
Do you understand the futility of your bleeding heart, of fighting the future?
You're a monster.
I was born this way.
This is yet another inappropriate reference to homosexuality for a children's cartoon. Gays often claim to be born gay, and I would disagree with that. As recently as the 70s, homosexuality was considered to be a mental illness caused by childhood trauma. Therefore, nobody is born gay. Now, I'm not going to get into it now, but I happen to believe this is true. Way back to the show. Cable lets the X-Men know what he knows about Bastion and his mission to stop him.
Timeline, he used the fallout from Genosha to get backing for his Prime Sentinel program. But that ain't the worst part. The Prime Sentinels are created using the same techno-organic virus Sinister infected me with as a baby, rewriting their DNA.
Prime Sentinels would be living weapons capable of reproducing, literally giving birth to a new apex species designed to replace mutants like humans did Neanderthals.
And there it is. That's why I titled this video Mutant Replacement Theory, because that's exactly what it is. Beast even says it. Bastion is creating a new apex predator designed to replace mutants like humans did Neanderthals. You better be careful there, Beast. The left wing will call you a racist, xenophobic bigot if you have a problem with being replaced. You're supposed to be a good little liberal and shut up and take it and embrace your replacement. Or else you'll be labeled an evil racist bigot. But I guess minorities like the mutants can get away with saying that they don't want to be replaced, but white people can't. Why is that? I find this very fascinating. I think the writers of this show unintentionally brought up the Great Replacement Theory. Now, the mutants don't want to be replaced by the Prime Sentinels, and they're trying to stop it, and they are portrayed as the good guys. Yet, in the real world, if you're a Westerner and you don't want to be replaced by foreign invaders, you're called an evil, racist bigot, and you're seen as the bad guys. Why do you suppose this is? Isn't that very interesting? The Great Replacement isn't a theory, it's fact. The current occupier of the White House, crooked Joe Biden, even admitted that he wanted to replace the current demographic majority with foreign invaders. Make no mistake, he doesn't just want to replace white people, but he wants to replace all American citizens with foreign invaders.
Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
This series tries so hard to make Magneto look like a good guy, even to go so far as to later on say that Magneto was right. Yet, he is an evil terrorist bigot who sees humans as inferior and mutants as superior. Magneto's whole goal is to genocide humans and to have mutants rule the earth. And what do the X-Men do? They invite him into their home, they make him their leader, and Genosha wants him to be their king. So let me get this straight. Magneto wants to replace humans with mutants, and the X-Men want to make him king. Bastion wants to replace mutants with Prime Sentinels, and then all of a sudden, the X-Men want to stop him. It's very fascinating. Or what Cable said to Bastion's plans in his own words.
Years, mutants outnumber humans 10 to 1. And generations later, human extinction. Builders lay off a dozen workers and hire one mutant with the strength of 10 men. What's a taxi driver supposed to do when a teleporter gets you there in a blink? The human community is scared. Of course they are. They've been told over and over that the future is leaving them behind. But I invite them to be relevant again.
Now, isn't that interesting? We have two groups who don't want to be replaced. Humans don't want to be replaced by mutants, and mutants don't want to be replaced by Prime Sentinels. Only when humans don't want to be replaced by mutants, they are called evil racist bigots. But when mutants don't want to be replaced by Prime Sentinels, oh, well, that's entirely different somehow. Then it's righteous and we have to stop Bastion. But when it comes time to save humanity, screw those evil bigots. In this series, it seems like the only time the X-Men want to save anyone is when mutants are in danger. I could be wrong, but I don't remember the X-Men saving a single ordinary human being. In fact, Cyclops has said that he's tired of saving humans.
I said because you're normal. You're ungrateful. We fight, risk our lives for you. Evil mutants, robots, crazy aliens. I gave him up. I gave him up because you can't say thank you. Because I have to stomach your questions and prove that I'm a person. I lie because the truth is we're nothing like you. Thank God, because it's the only reason you people are still alive.
As a side note, yes, I noticed that Bastion referenced Colossus's first appearance in the animated series.
Builders lay off a dozen workers and hire one mutant with the strength of 10 men.
What's interesting about this is that the workmen called Colossus a scab, meaning that they were members of a union, and if you're pro-union, you're most likely left-wing.
His name is Mutant Scab, and that's our money!
So it was the left-wing people who were hating on Colossus. The left wing claimed to be for the working man, but they seem to have no issue with illegal foreign invaders coming to America to take American jobs. Anyway, back to the show and Cable's future.
Bastion's evolutionary war lasted 300 years.
So another dystopia where Logan's the last to die.
No, a utopia. Like old pieces of tech, Bastion saved humanity by upgrading them. Any mutant who survived was put to work. Xavier's dream came true. Mutants ushered in a bright and peaceful future as its backbone.
Honestly, that really doesn't sound that bad to me. I mean, Cable even used the word utopia to describe it. And technically, Chuck's dream did come true, mutants using their powers for the benefit of mankind. Now granted, they are slaves, but compare Bastion's utopia to Bishop's dystopia of Days of Future Past. Now either way, mutants are kind of screwed, but at least in Bastion's future, humanity is doing well. I mean, if you were forced to choose, which future would you rather live in? I mean, even as slaves, mutants would be better off in the human utopia than the dystopia for both humans and mutants, where everyone is a slave. Wolverine asked Cable why didn't he stop Genosha, and then he and Beast gave their dumb reason why.
Why the heck didn't you stop Genosha?
I've tried it all, over and over.
Each time we attempt to stop the attack on Genosha, we are temporally pulled away from the event.
Strange. The mystics of Kamartaj speak of absolute points. Events that occur across all timelines. Cable could travel to the very moment Genosha fell.
The idea of fixed points in time is dumb. It's just an excuse for the writers to say that Genosha has to happen. Regardless, say that I grant you that the Genosha Gala is a fixed point in time. Well, Cable doesn't have to try and affect that specific event. He can go back even further in time and stop the creation of the Sentinels in the first place. Or perhaps he kills Magneto before the Gala, so at least his war crimes were never committed. Or he can stop Nightcrawler, Rogue, Gambit, and his mother from going, so at least their lives would be spared. Or how about this genius? Go back to when you were born and prevent Sinister from infecting you with the techno-organic virus. There are a million things that he could do that would at least minimize the damage done at the gala. He could prevent George Lucas from selling Star Wars to Disney. He could prevent Marvel from selling out to Disney, and we wouldn't be getting any of this crap to begin with. Best case scenario, he could kill Karl Marx before he has to write his Communist Manifesto, and we would never get any of this woke garbage. It's revealed that one of the people infected by Bastion's virus is the female reporter who liked Beast from the previous episodes. I was disappointed by this since she was a character that I liked. She's one of the few characters in this show who actually made sense. She's the one who said this.
But smashing windows is destruction, not communication. Normal people won't accept mutants if they feel threatened. That fear is the whole issue.
She was right. So is the show trying to say that the characters who actually make some sense are the bad guys? Sure seems like it. Also, notice that she is digging her heel into Hank, much like Deathbird did to Ronan. Again, the show likes to say that women are dominant over men. The X-Men have to stop her, and Morph finally does what I said he should have done in the previous episode. He immediately morphs into one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. In this case, he morphs into the Juggernaut, but he is somehow quickly defeated. Can someone please explain this to me? How did she defeat the Juggernaut so easily? We're shown that these people are defeated by less powerful characters such as Wolverine and Nightcrawler later on. So how come the unstoppable Juggernaut was not able to stop her? This show has zero consistency. And Morph is such a useless character. If he can't defeat her with the powers of the Juggernaut, what good is he? Also notice that again, a woman dominated a much more powerful man. Anyway, as we can see from the female reporter, all the humans who are infected by Bastion's Prime Sentinel virus have been activated and have started attacking mutants. Now, to be clear, all of these people are completely innocent. In fact, they are just as much victims of Bastion as any mutant who was attacked by them. And I say this because they are essentially unconscious. They are unaware of anything happening. Now some may say, well, they volunteered for this, which is true, but Bastion admitted to lying to them.
Know what you're doing to them?
Oh, I admit the more technical details, but they know they're joining something far greater than themselves. After this, they wake up in their daily lives with no memory of ever being here. Then, who knows, maybe a mutant flirts with one of them at a local dive bar and...
You said you were building a new Sentinel, not weaponizing civilians.
You sound like a dinosaur fretting the fate of an asteroid before impact.
I'm more concerned you're the asteroid, Bastion.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember anyone saying that once the virus is activated, that they can't be cured. So these are 100% innocent men, women, and children. So, what do the X-Men do? Well, being the heroes that they are supposed to be, I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to cure them. Or if not that, they would at least try to knock them out, or at least incapacitate them somehow until a cure can be found, right? Nope. They just start slaughtering them like they were cows being turned into hamburgers. But the X-Men commit mass murder gleefully, as we can see by the smile on Cyclops' face. These are our heroes, folks. If you're cheering on the X-Men as they go on their murderous rampage, there's something wrong with you. Meanwhile, Valerie Cooper releases the evil terrorist bigot Magneto from Bastion's custody. Now, what's up with this female dog? She goes back and forth from hating Magneto to loving Magneto. First, she rightfully arrests Magneto for crimes against humanity.
We're here for Magneto. I hereby place you under arrest for crimes against humanity. You will stand trial at the UN headquarters.
Assume is a fair trial. Will I earn your trust?
That is how due process works.
Then I yield.
Then she pardons Magneto for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
The United Nations stunned the world this week when it issued a pardon for Magneto.
We will begin talks to admit the mutant nation of Genosha into the United Nations.
Then at the Genosha Gala, she calls Magneto a terrorist. Again, rightfully so.
Surely Genosha's right to self-govern will not only be protected, but cherished, as it is with all UN nations.
Most other nations don't allow a terrorist to be their leader.
Now she releases Magneto for no reason and says that he was right. Why?
You just had to let the dog out.
Magneto was right.
Why? Even if Bastion is a bad guy, Magneto isn't any better. And I would argue that he's much worse than Bastion. So this makes no sense for her character, or any character as far as that goes. So anyway, Magneto goes to the North Pole. Nearly naked, by the way. He couldn't have grabbed some clothes on his way up there. Anyway, he sets off this EMP across the entire Earth, which seemingly kills off all the people infected with Bastion's Prime Sentinel virus. Now, even if you believe that the people infected with Bastion's Prime Sentinel virus was evil and deserved to die, what about all the other innocent people Magneto just killed with his EMP attack? If you were in a hospital on life support, you're dead. If you were in an elevator, you're dead. If you were at a crosswalk and thought the lights were red and it was safe to cross, you're dead. If you were in an electric car, you're dead. If you were operating a dangerous electrical machine, you're dead. Magneto potentially killed millions of people. The evil terrorist bigot who so many of you just claim to be right can now add mass murder to his long list of crimes against humanity.
Magneto actually did it.
What? Saved our hides?
No. Declared war.
And now, as Wolverine had just said, Magneto had just started the war that he wanted. This was probably Bastion's plan all along, so Magneto and the X-Men have just shown how dumb they are. What a masterpiece of a show. Anyway, that's about it for this video. I'm Alpha Eagle. God bless you for watching. God bless America. And I pray that you people wake up and see the show for the abomination that it is.